Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We're very excited today to sit down with Raj Grover, founder, president, and CEO at HITI Inc., ticker HITI. Excited to spend some time getting some updates on the current global cannabis space, impacts of potential regulatory shifts, and share recent HITI targets and highlights from big updates, including the entrance into the German market. So some all big things. Very excited to spend some time and talk. With all that said, thanks for joining, Raj. Really appreciate it.
Mackenzie, very nice to be here.
Of course. Well, so then maybe a great place to start, Raj, would be kind of giving us a quick snapshot. Where does HITI focus today? What's the footprint, growth, focus, all of that?
Absolutely. So HITI is a publicly traded company. As you know, we trade on the NASDAQ, Toronto, and Frankfurt stock exchanges. Our core business is brick and mortar cannabis retail. We are the largest retail brand in the country here in Canada with 203 current locations. We open stores all the time, so I forget sometimes. We're in 5 Canadian provinces: Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia. We are the largest revenue-generating cannabis company in Canada, reporting in Canadian dollars. We've been like that for a few years. We're also the most differentiated retail play through our Cabana Club and our Cabana Club membership numbers, etc., plus our paid membership tier, Elite. And now we're getting into the other most exciting, or even more exciting, federally legal, or the largest federally legal market, Germany, through the acquisition majority stake in Remexian.
Yeah, very excited to spend some time talking about that. Again, you and the team have been doing a great job on the Canadian side, so that's been fantastic. And very excited to hear about this new shift, this new entrance into Germany. Can you kind of high level tell us, why Germany and then why Remexian in terms of making that deal?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we trade on the NASDAQ stock exchange. So by default, we cannot touch any plant touching business. And we wouldn't do that. We're waiting our turn to get into the US. I'm extremely excited about the US market. I've said that a few times. When we put our discount club model in the United States, it's going to run. I know the magic it's going to do, but we're waiting our turn, and we've got a ton of opportunities in front of us. So why Germany? Why Remexian? Again, federally legal market, growing very, very fast. And we found ourselves, Mackenzie, to be sitting in that perfect part of the supply chain where our procurement cost, not retail sales are close to almost $600 million, but our procurement cost alone is about $400 million. So we know every LP in this country, the small guys, the big guys, the medium-sized guys, and they're all customers of ours, business partners of ours. And we see everyone's excited to get into Germany, or they're already in Germany. And we are their largest customer in this country. So we're like, we don't want to compete on the growth side. We don't feel like, we have the growing abilities yet. And retail is our game. And we want to plant Canna Cabana stores in Germany when that opportunity is ready. So we also actually filed a pilot project application a few months ago. We press released that during our earnings. But this opportunity of distribution literally came from, why aren't we leveraging our 400 million procurement relationship here in Canada and taking that in Germany, when 50% of all German imports are Canadian, or approximately 50% are Canadian, right? Canada shipped, for the first 6 months, Canada shipped 37 tons of cannabis to Germany, right? And that's almost 50% of their imports. So we're the largest customer here. We thought we can take all of these Canadian house of brands, put them in the federally legal market there. No one else can do this, because even if you're, let's say you're any of the LPs in Canada, they're doing a great job. They're all getting healthier and healthier because they're very excited about the German market and participating in the German market and other international markets. But they can only sell what they grow and what they allocate to certain geographies, and only the strains that they're growing or that they have. I can leverage each and every strain in this country if I want to. And being the largest customer in this country, we have, we have some relationships to ask our business partners to support us. And they're not just supported, they're actually very excited. We are getting inbound exclusivity conversations happening. We've got more than, 40 conversations that have already happened with producers, 12 at an exclusive level. So I cannot tell you how beyond excited I am to do some magic in Germany without actually growing a gram of cannabis.
That is important. That is important. Again, it does seem like a big growth factor. So very excited to see that starting up, which is great. You mentioned Canada already being kind of a major supplier for Germany already. Out of curiosity, in 5 years, what's the goal for how much of that pie ultimately that HITI aims to kind of capture?
Nice. I would want all of it. Just kidding. Just
100%.
We're like, for example, right? Remexian does the business of Remexian does about 100 million Canadian in top line. About 30 million or 33 million of that comes from Canada. We think we can up that to 50, 60 million in total, right? So there's a lot of room to grow just there with their current numbers. And then look at the market is going, it's grown from Q1 to Q2 by 15%, year over year, more than 100%. When I first started looking at PureCan, the market was at 80 tons. By the time I spoke to Remexian the first time, they were at 100 tons, and now they're run rating 172 tons. Just imagine the growth there, right? So we got this opportunity now with Remexian to increase that Canadian share of flower, not just in their portfolio, but in the long term. We want more of that Canadian share that's shipping from Canada to Germany. At the moment, Canada is supplying about $400 million a year. Like I said, Remexian is about 33 million out of that. I want to take that number to $100 million in the long term.
I love that. That's some great goals and some great growth ahead, hopefully. Out of curiosity, just because I think Canada was obviously earlier in terms of its legalization process and sort of the medical market that opened following the recreational as well. Where would you gauge where Germany is in terms of opening up? It seems like early days and there's still growth ahead. Where would you kind of gauge Germany's growth ultimately so far?
Very early days, very early days. They have no recreational setup yet. They have social clubs, which are not for profit. Obviously, public companies have nothing to do with it, or we don't have much to do with it. We're excited about setting up Canna Cabana stores in Germany. This is why we applied for pilot projects. There are about 56 or 58 applications that have gone in since April. We are one of them. Many have got rejected that I've heard. We have not got rejected yet, but no one's got approved yet. So there's not a very big chance that actually goes through, but there is a chance that that goes through as well. But what we're doing in the meanwhile is getting native with the market, getting our feet wet, getting our hands wet, understanding what's happening on the ground. And then when the opportunity is ready, we want to go ahead with Canna Cabana stores there. And this is no small opportunity, right? We're starting with $100 million, which is roughly 20% of our revenue right now, right? And a market leader. To give you an example, Germany imported 43 tons in Q2, and Remexian sold, and everything is an import in Germany, except for maybe 2-3 growers like Tilray, Demacan, and Aurora. And Remexian sold 7 tons in Q2. So they're a major player in terms of grams sold. That's about 16%. We have 12% market share here in Canada. We're the leader here by far. And now we're starting Germany with 16% of market share in grams. I couldn't be more happy.
That's fantastic. Are there any major differences in terms of like preferences or things that the market desires in Germany versus in Canada on the medical side? Anything that you're starting to see or projecting to see ultimately?
So we're just entering into the medical market. We've always been in the recreational side. And of course, Canada's got a big bucket of products, right? We've got the edibles, we've got the drinkables, we got the smokables. We've got everything here. And Germany is just getting started, and they're practically dry flower. Maybe 1 or 2 SKUs of vape have got approved, but that's it, right? So there's a lot of opportunity going forward. This is very much the beginning. Germany is hitting about close to 1 billion euro now, or by the end of the year, they should be about 1 billion euro, but they're medical sales. Medical patients have grown from 250,000 to 900,000 in Germany in just 1 year, right? Sky's the limit. We think that could double. We think that the tonnage could go to close to 250 tons within the next 12 to 18 months. So, and we're starting with 0. So there's some tons coming our way as well.
That's fantastic. So really, really early days, but again, really able to get that foothold in, get that brand appreciation. That's fantastic. And again, also having the cabanas getting ready if things do change over in Germany as well, which is fantastic. A lot of growth potential ahead, which is great. In terms of the response to this venture, I think it's been very positive. How have shareholders been kind of reacting to this move?
They're loving it. I mean, we were up yesterday. We're up today. We've traded 300% more volume yesterday. That was very, very nice to see. That tells you there's activity. They're liking it. Honestly, I was anticipating that we're going to have a double-digit day yesterday. It's massive news. We've all been anticipating. That didn't happen. We were rising in the pre-market, like we were up like 9.5%, and then we see this big sell wall come in pre-market, which was weird. But hey, we're doing great things. And I think it was very well received. It's still being very well received, as you can see in our momentum today. We're close to 1 million shares on the NASDAQ today.
Yep. Again, I keep seeing a lot of positive coverage, and it seems like a lot of people really respect, I think, ultimately the move into Germany. So that's fantastic to be able to capture that potential growth ahead. Another conversation that I did want to just touch on is I know there's been a lot of news and chatter on the US side of the market in terms of what could change here. Would love to hear how that impacts, if we were to get rescheduling in the US, how that impacts sort of your approach, strategy. What are the thoughts there?
Look, rescheduling is great for the entire industry, whether you're an American company or a Canadian company or maybe even a German company, because US is the biggest market in the world, right? And if US shows federal momentum or momentum on the right side, it goes a long way for all companies. we've made our intentions very clear. We want to play long and hard in the US. We want to be one of the top 5 multi-state operators in the US. I'm sure that day will come. And we're ready for when that happens. So immediately on rescheduling, there needs to be some language amendment in terms of how NASDAQ would look at it. Currently, there needs to be some sort of protection for the exchanges to allow plant-touching companies to list there. But we think with President Trump looking at this very seriously, even descheduling is possible. So everything is possible. We're looking at it with a lot of excitement, but we've got so much growth ahead in Canada alone. We're at 203 stores, going to over 300. We think we'll go much higher than that. And then Germany's just getting started, and US is now starting to show some activity. So I think we've timed the Remexian acquisition really well. There's momentum right now. Timing is very important, as you know it. And if US goes our way, then sky's the limit.
That's fantastic. And I would imagine it would also maybe open up some other markets as well. If things continue to shift, I think we've seen that global change where there's more acceptance for cannabis from a medical perspective, from a recreational perspective. So that might open up, further opportunities down the road as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Definitely fingers crossed on this end, I think. But would love to as we're coming a little bit to the end, again, I think this is a big, big step and an important venture ultimately. But for the rest of 2025, outside of the US, where else are you guys focused? Is it more sort of, Canadian retail expansion, more international moves, sort of deepening e-commerce? Where's sort of the focus for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so Canadian retail expansion is the forefront of everything, right? We casually opened a store a week ago, and now we're going to open 3 more this month. I hope we can do all 3 this month. Our goal is to get to between 20 and 30 locations by the end of this calendar year. We think we get to the higher end of it. We're only at about 14, 15 right now. So we still got 15 more locations to go minimum or close to that organically by the end of this year. We're looking at some M&A opportunities as well. So we're always busy in Canada. That's our core market. This is why year over year, our growth is exploding here in Canada. Then Remexian, right? And this is just getting started. So we're going to be very, very busy for the next couple of years with Remexian alone and Canada as well. But trust me, if we get an opportunity in the US in the next 12 months, US will take the forefront of everything for store growth, for Cabana Club launch in the US. That'll take the forefront in terms of our strategy. And we're very much looking forward to that happening. That does not happen. We're still on our way to $1 billion in revenue. I have no doubt about that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think not being subject to the changes in the regulatory stuff on the US side of the border definitely frees you up for some optionality, which is great. Again, hopefully we do see some change finally happen. It's been years and years of waiting ultimately. It does seem like the tone of the new administration is friendlier to make changes. And I think even just seeing a time frame mentioned by the president is, a difference from what we've seen in the past. So hopefully we see that, and hopefully we see that entrance, I guess, ultimately more into the US would be great. Would love sort of as a final chat to kind of talk through, for investors out there who are kind of approaching either cannabis for the first time as a theme or have been in the game for a long time, would love to know what they should be keeping an eye on from High Tide in the next, let's say, year roughly.
Look at our earnings. Don't trust my word for it. Just look at how we perform financially, because that's the core of why we're doing things. We want to make profit for our shareholders. So stay tuned. We always have very good quarters. I'm yet to deliver poor quarters. So I believe the momentum will continue.
That's fantastic. You guys have been doing a great job. Really, really appreciate all the hard work for sure. For anyone who wants to, find out more, follow along, find those earnings, where should they kind of follow to stay informed and in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can go on our company website, hitiding.com, and just register to get emails. We're also publicly traded, as I mentioned, ticker symbol HITI on NASDAQ and the Toronto Stock Exchange or Toronto Venture Exchange. We also trade on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol 2LYA. And then I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on X, and High Tide's on LinkedIn and X as well. So you can follow us there as well.
That sounds good. I definitely recommend, if you're interested, give a follow. I think it's a great way to kind of stay in touch with what's going on. Raj, thanks for giving this an update. Really appreciate it. It seems like a very exciting time for High Tide, for cannabis in general. So really appreciate you taking the time and sharing some insight with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Before investing, carefully consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses found in the prospectus, available at advisorshares.com.